Lock and load, gamers! Today, we're diving into the world of free FPS games, where every shot counts and every move could be your last. From intense firefights to strategic gameplay, these games will keep you on the edge of your seat. So grab your weapons, team up with friends, and prepare for intense battles in these top free FPS games. Call of Duty and Battlefield, watch out, there's a new game in town. The original Delta Force was released in 1998, and the final game in the series, Delta Force Extreme 2, was released 11 years later. The series fell into oblivion due to more popular and better games, like Call of Duty and Battlefield, which were already starting to become the giants they are today. Delta Force, Hawk Ops is a new multi-platform tactical shooter where you play the role of an operator tasked with carrying out extreme missions through precise tactical planning and application. Along with the campaign, the game has two multiplayer modes, Hazard Operations and Havoc Warfare. The first is an extraction mode a la Escape from Tarkov and Warzone's DMZ mode. The second is large-scale PvP. At first glance, it would be easy to call Fall Damage Studios' upcoming shooter Alara Prime cookie cutter. It looks like Valorant, plays like Counter-Strike 2, and also features many mechanics inspired by Rainbow Six Siege. But dismissing the game based on its similarity to the competition would be a mistake. After all, many games have found success by liberally borrowing established success stories. Alara Prime takes the best elements of the aforementioned tactical shooters, the plant/deploy gameplay cycle, precision shooting, and emphasis on team play, and packages them into a very unusual 4v4v4 format. Block and Load 2 is the sequel to the original Block and Load, a multiplayer first-person shooter game developed by Toadman Interactive. In Block and Load 2, players engage in fast-paced battles where they build, destroy, and shoot their way to victory in a voxel-based world. The game features a unique blend of strategic gameplay and creative building elements, allowing players to construct defensive structures, traps, and fortifications to outsmart their opponents. Players can choose from a variety of different characters, each with their own unique abilities and playstyles, to customize their experience. Block and Load 2 builds upon the foundation of its predecessor, offering improved graphics, gameplay mechanics, and new features to enhance the player experience. With its focus on teamwork, strategy, and fast-paced action, Block and Load 2 offers a fresh and exciting take on the FPS genre. Marathon is a first-person shooter, FPS, video game series developed by Bungie, the same studio behind the Halo series. The original Marathon game was released in 1994 for Macintosh computers and was known for its innovative gameplay, deep story, and advanced graphics for its time. The Marathon series is set in a science fiction universe and follows the player character, a security officer aboard the titular space colony ship, as they battle hostile aliens and unravel the mysteries of the ship's AI. The game is known for its complex narrative, which is delivered through in-game terminals that players can access to read logs and messages. Roblox Frontlines is a popular Roblox game created by Team Frontlines. It is a first-person shooter, FPS, game that features intense battles, strategic gameplay, and a variety of weapons and vehicles. Players can team up with friends or join a server to engage in fast-paced combat across different maps and game modes. With its focus on teamwork and skill-based gameplay, Roblox Frontlines offers an exciting and immersive experience for FPS fans on the Roblox platform. Are you looking for a game that offers fast-paced gameplay where you can just jump in and have fun? If so, then you might want to check out The Finals. This game was released in December 2023 and has been taking over since it launched. In this game, you play as one of 3 customizable classes and work with your teammates to win one of the 2 current game modes. Each class comes with its own weapons, gadgets, and abilities which can help your team. Not only is the game fun and the gunplay great, but you can destroy the map, which turns the game into chaos. Counter-Strike: Global Offensive has been one of the best Steam games for quite some time, and pulling it offline was always going to be a risk for developer Valve. The studio has replaced its enduring FPS with Counter-Strike 2, a free-to-play shooter which brings a fresh coat of paint to well-developed foundations. While the action is incredibly familiar, there's no doubt that CS2 remains one of the best competitive arena shooters around. Shatterline is an upcoming game developed by Brass Token. It's a squad-based tactical RPG set in a dark fantasy world. Players control a group of mercenaries called the Shatterborn, who possess unique powers and abilities. The game features a turn-based combat system where players must strategically position their characters and use their abilities to defeat enemies. Shatterline also includes a deep narrative with branching storylines, where player choices can impact the outcome of the game. When it comes to great and nostalgic FPS games, Halo is definitely one of the games that comes to mind. Halo Infinite released both a campaign and a free-to-play multiplayer game. This free-to-play game lets you enter the Halo universe with many features. Like most multiplayer games, there is a battle pass that unlocks seasonal rewards, unique events, new and different maps and modes, as well as a new weapon. So if you have never played a Halo game, this is a great way to try it out. With planet-spanning battles and 3 diverse factions, PlanetSide 2 UPs the ante on everyday first-person shooters. Everything the player does affects their faction's success in battle, from killing enemies to buying vehicles and taking enemy control points, all of which take place on a massive scale featuring lean animation and exceptional skill trees. The diverse combat ensures no 2 matches are ever the same, placing players against one another in custom tank battles 1 minute, and urban firefights and aerial onslaughts the next. It all gives players the opportunity to unlock weapons, attachments, skills, and other components through the game's intuitive leveling system. The core of PlanetSide 2 revolves around holding crucial territories and claiming key resources, with hundreds of players fighting it out over the course of multi-day and week-long battles. Turning the tide takes teamwork, and sometimes being a cog in the machine isn't so bad. There aren't many games that get called the next Battlefield, but that's exactly what World War III was dubbed when it came out in playtesting. World War III is a modern tactical FPS game that is free to play but also comes with a seasonal battle pass. There are many great features within this game, including weapon progression, real-world locations, realistic gameplay, and 2 main game modes. You can play in Tactical OPs, which is a 20v20, or in Team Deathmatch, which is 10v10. Chest armor is also customizable. You can go light or heavy, and there is a wide variety of weapon customization. Battleteams 2 appears to be a sequel to the original Battleteams game, which is a multiplayer online battle arena (MOBA) game developed by Pixonic. In Battleteams, players assemble a team of robots and compete against other players in strategic team-based battles. In Battleteams 2, players can experience an enhanced version of the original game, with improvements to graphics, gameplay mechanics, and possibly new features and content. The core gameplay remains similar, with players controlling robots and working together to achieve victory over the opposing team. Angerfoot is a fast-paced action game developed by Keyball Games. In the game, players control a character with a powerful kick ability, which they must use to defeat enemies and navigate through various levels filled with obstacles and challenges. The game features retro-style pixel art graphics and a high-energy soundtrack that adds to the intensity of the gameplay. Players must time their kicks carefully to take out enemies and avoid getting hit, as health is limited and the game is challenging. Oh my, Apex, what excellent bump slides you have! What solid shooting you offer! What a delightful bunch of canyons and swamps you've plunked us in! We should have known better than to doubt the makers of Titanfall 2's robot antics. Since its launch, Apelegs has added plenty of new characters, new maps, and even a new arenas mode. The saying less is more really defines the game known as Polygon. This may look like a simple game, but there is a lot more when you play it. Made by one developer, this game can really stand on its own against AAA titles in terms of gunplay. This tactical FPS has both large-scale maps that can hold up to 32 players and smaller maps. While there is a small range of weapons and attachments, they are well-balanced, and nothing is meta. You play to unlock all your weapons and attachments, and there is a small battle pass to gain cosmetics, but nothing is pay to win. There's no elegant way to put this. Valorant is Counter-Strike but with wizards and ninjas. One team wants to plant a bomb, the other needs to stop this from happening. How? By inching around corners, having decent aim, and making strong callouts in the team chat. Patience is rewarded here, as is coordinating with your team to control each map. If Valorant sounds like Counter-Strike, that's because the gunplay is pretty similar. However, where it differs is in ability usage. You can choose from a roster of agents who each have special powers that'll let them do stuff like teleport across short gaps, flashbang around corners, or heal allies. If this sounds aggressively unbalanced, don't worry, almost all of these abilities feel like useful tools, as opposed to pain bringers. I'd say I prefer Valorant to Counter-Strike nowadays, purely because it feels more current. There's regular updates and some invaluable tools like an aim training map are baked into the game, as opposed to being buried away in a community creations section of a store. Players could have a difficult time distinguishing this game from Call of Duty just through screenshots alone. Even reviews on Steam make the game seem like it's a cost-effective clone of the game. It's often compared to a newer, updated version of Black Squad. It could be a fun challenge for loyal COD players. Ironsight launched right at the end of 2019. The holiday release played out like most holiday releases. This game comes from the relatively unknown Whipple Games, and the ever-present Area Games published it. Ironsight appears to take Activision's massive shooter franchise's greatest elements and smashes it together with a F2P, not P2W, formula. We think that the maps even resemble each other. To play, you take on the persona of one of the two factions fighting over the planet's remaining natural resources following a massive natural disaster. Your choice of equipment is essential in combat, as well as your choice in tactical assistance drones. The game features low recommended specs, and it's completely budget-friendly. It's a game that is accessible to everyone. PUBG is a staple of the Battle Royale genre and one of the first ones to really kick off the popularity of Battle Royale games. PUBG offers so much in terms of weapons, armor, and pure strategic gameplay. The maps alone are wide open and extremely large maps with diverse terrain, making gameplay both fun and challenging. You drop into this game solo or with your friends to try and eliminate every other squad, and there are many attachments for weapons that make for some fun sniping or close-quarter combat. Warzone may second not be Battle Royale king like its predecessor once was, but that doesn't mean it isn't any good. Far from it. There's a brand new gunsmith which lets you tinker with weapons in even greater detail, which makes for even spicier metas. The new map Al Mazrah is, in my opinion, better than Verdansk in the way it facilitates fights and removes a lot of boring gray in favor of some actual color. Warzone 2 isn't perfect by any means, but what it offers is a free-to-play, AAA shooter with COD's brilliantly smooth FPSing. It's also worth noting that the game often receives free updates to keep things fresh, so it's unlikely you'll get bored quickly. Destiny 2 is an incredibly fluid MMO FPS with some of the best shooting around, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. Whether you want to team up with others to topple big bosses, turn on your fellow players and slug them with a shotgun in Crucible's PvP modes, or play through epic stories that span the solar system, Destiny 2 is something for everyone. Whichever activity you prefer, you can easily sink hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into it, and the brilliant gunplay makes it a constant joy. Not only is the best FPS around, I'll wager that Destiny 2 is also the best superhero game right now. There's something I love about swinging electro swords and firing off a golden gun imbued with solar energy to kill massive raid bosses in a bid to save the solar system. Destiny 2 has so much to love, but that doesn't mean it's without fault. The onboarding experience is incredibly awkward for newbies, with the removal of the original Red War campaign and subsequent Forsaken expansion making the story completely incomprehensible without watching oodles of lore videos. That proves a chore for even the most dedicated of Guardians, and it's a roadblock that's almost guaranteed to alienate new players who try to hop in for a new expansion. However, it's a testament to Destiny 2's strengths that we still recommend it so highly. It's a masterful FPS with so much fun to be had, regardless of whether you prefer PvE or PvP. And, with so much content available for free, there's really no reason not to give it a go. So, off you pop, go decrypt some engrams, get some snazzy armor, and start shooting aliens. Eyes up, Guardian! Shooters don't always need to be dark, gritty, or ultra-realistic affairs. Cartoonish fun has its place, too, and Blizzard Entertainment's Overwatch 2 is a great example of that. Featuring colorful levels, multiple game modes and team-based synergy, and lore-drenched characters with vastly different playstyles, Overwatch 2 is a thoroughly enjoyable first-person shooter that's filled with cheer and mechanical variety. Overwatch 2's release marks the end of the original game. There's notable rebalancing here, but the moment-to-moment gameplay is just as fun as the first game. A new monetization system adds a questionable amount of grinding to the mix, as do the expensive, new cosmetic purchases. Sometimes, you just want to get down to the nitty-gritty fundamentals of first-person shooters, the shooting. Sometimes, you just want to get down to the nitty-gritty fundamentals of first-person shooters, the shooting. With Black Squad, NS Studio has created a relentlessly twitchy and precise multiplayer experience that should feel right at home for fans of earlier Call of Duty titles and Counter-Strike: Global Offensive. The game offers enough variety for players of all styles and abilities to feel like they're making progress and contributing to their team. Getting a kill results in a gloriously over-the-top sound effect and a hefty splatter of blood on nearby walls, so there will never be any doubt whether your target is down. Black Squad promises absolutely zero pay-to-win mechanics, with no gameplay-focused microtransactions available. Instead, you can earn everything through in-game currency or spend extra cash to buy certain cosmetic items, such as weapon skins, before other players. With only 4 GB of recommended RAM and a minimum spec that calls for the aging GTX 560 GPU, you'll be able to run the game on all but the very oldest machines. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone who didn't think that Warframe is one of the best free-to-play third-person shooters. It's one of those games that has consistently become better and bigger with each expansion. The size of the game now is absurd. You take control of one of many varied classes who all have incredible space ninja abilities. You then take them from planet to planet, each time fighting your way through the enemies either alone or with friends. You can unlock a huge array of new Warframes, and each of them has their own role. You can play as a warrior of the earth, summoning stone golems to do their dirty work, or literally hop between dimensions as another Warframe. The game has been constantly evolving since it was released and shows no sign of stopping anytime soon. Put simply, Warframe is one of the best F2P games around, and it doesn't look like that is going to change anytime soon. ID Software is the king of first-person shooters, playing a pivotal role in their development in the 90s. Few games were more influential during that time than Quake. The lightning-fast shooter put reflexes and skill above all else, becoming a popular early esport and spawning several sequels. With Quake Champions, which went free-to-play in August 2018, ID delivers classic Quake action at a speed you can only get on PC. Unlike most of the studio's recent work, it isn't available on consoles. You'll need a capable system to run it too, with ID Software recommending at least 16 GB of RAM and an AMD R9 290 GPU. You can spend the money to upgrade your computer with the cash you didn't have to spend on the game. Quake Champions features a variety of different game modes, including traditional deathmatch in both 1v1 and 2v2 duels, and it includes a mix of classic and new weapons. If you're a fan of ID's other games, you can even play as the Doom series Doomslayer and the Wolfenstein series BJ Blazkowicz. Quake Champions is a niche game, though, so you may have to queue for a few minutes before finding a match. That Team Fortress 2 is a sequel and a remake of a Soberazon multiplayer mod seems almost irrelevant now, but it's part of what makes the game so important. Valve took years and years to settle upon a model for what has become one of the firmly entrenched favorites of the PC gaming fraternity, and that they did so allowed it to prove that a multiplayer first-person shooter can be funny, even witty, and that constant experimentation and progression can keep a game alive and evolving long after it should have ground to a halt. Team Fortress 2 felt like an experiment, and it still feels like an experiment, and that experiment was a success. A move to free-to-play and a hat-centric economy has kept TF2 thriving. The cost of this is that something of the original spirit was perhaps lost in this translation to gimme, 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 but we can forgive that. So, did you like the games I recommended? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me, and activate the bell because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. Thank you very much for following me this far, and until next time, bye.